we're gonna be okay.
So here's how I put Bo into a panic. I planned a trip with some of my favorite homesteaders and yours this past week, but that meant that I would be gone for 8 days and 7 nights, leaving him with 5 children, including a 1-year-old who still nurses to sleep. His reaction makes sense.
I feel like this is getting real, man.
All to celebrate this girl and to soak up time with this girl and this girl and this girl and this one too. So I said goodbye to my crew of 7 and I hopped a flight to the East Coast and hoped my baby would remember what I looked like when I returned.
Bye, babe.
Going on a very exciting adventure today. And filming in real life. It's very different than filming on the farm. So, buckle up, let's go.
My first stop on this adventure was South Carolina to stay with Jess from Roots and Refuge.
Good morning. I just slept the longest slept without babies ever has been slept. I guess I'm gonna see if Jessica needs help with farm chores. Fun note. Ooh, that was exciting. It's been 2 years since we all got together, and now we're getting together again, but it's also so good. I'm excited. Okay, let's go milk some goats. Yeah. How many cows do you have now? Hello, little lovey.
Got some algae going in there.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, you gonna get up? Oh, big boy. Isn't he a doll?
I didn't get moving until 9 a.m. on this morning, so while Jessica milked the mamas, I gave this babe a bottle.
He's like covered. Oh.
I'm not usually one for goats. I'd say I'm skeptical, but this little guy may have just won me over. And we quickly dashed into real-world clothes to head to Brianna's.
Homestead on a farm for a while.
But we weren't going empty-handed.
We are shopping Jess's farm store, so we grabbed a bag. And now we're going to take things to Brianna's because it is time, and Jess just said this, the 2 things we do is we talk a lot.
Yep.
Which is why we have to get together the day before.
Yeah, Kelly and I have to have extra talk.
We have to get our talk out.
I'm going to take my friend Brianna a gift of tallow for hosting me this weekend. This is a homesteader gift.
It's what is my friend gonna love? Something long store, something delicious, and something you can't get at the store.
Yeah, exactly.
We've just gone through kind of like your grocery store at home.
Ooh. It's not Osprey. Watch, he's gonna die. No, he's not.
Ah.
Okay, sorry. I'm sorry.
No,
I get distracted by words.
I do it
easily
I'd be like, oh my gosh, look at that. Look at that new leaf that came out on that plant.
I tested it's not squirrel for me though if I saw a good squirrel.
So a lot of homesteaders have like our food storage, and it's really not, I mean, everybody has their reasons for it, and it probably does have a little to do with the end of the world, but it has a lot to do with like, you don't want to leave your place.
Sure.
So if you can have your own food store or food storage in your own little shed or your studio like we have, then it becomes this easy access thing where we don't have to spend as much time off the farm, because little by little you just store up what you need as it comes in harvest or as it becomes the thing that's like easily accessible.
So, I mean, I live in the middle of nowhere, and our grocery stores here, they don't have a lot of like real food options, a lot of processed food. And so I have to drive almost an hour to go buy the kind of food that I want. Yeah. And the other thing is, when you're growing food, it has seasons. And so you only get it for 3 months out of the year, and you have to put a whole bunch of it up. Well, we bought that double wide trailer to live in, and the pantry was like this big. So for the first year we were here, I literally had boxes of canned goods under every bed in our house.
There was no other place.
And it wasn't accessible. It wasn't good. And so we built the storage building, and it's awesome. So what we're doing when we build our new house is we're going to actually have a big pantry, and that storage building has a mini split. It's insanely insulated, and so we're going to keep it really cool. It's very efficient, and the idea is that you can't really do root cellars here. They don't do super well, and so it's going to be kind of like our artificial root cellar.
He said he only want to see his friends. Another week went by and we barely even spoke. Think I'm beginning to read a sequence.
Dwight Schrute would be proud.
Why did you
Dwight
turn your
Schrute would
back
be
on
proud.
me?
Making Dwight
Maybe
proud.
there's something I don't see. Could you just shed a little
Did you just text her and say, here's all my goods?
on me? Shed a little, shed a little. Why'd you go? Leave me here all alone.
So we have a huge garden harvest. Beets, green onions. We need some garden snacks.
I don't like to be a bother, but I'm getting kinda sick of trying to figure this out on my own.
Jessa said we're gonna feast. And I think that there's absolutely no chance that we don't feast.
We feast.
Because
I got artichoke too.
just voila!
I was just accounting for everything.
So when you have friends that garden, they're just like pulling produce out of their pockets.
and cutting flowers everywhere.
All these happy mamas and they babies. Oh, if you've ever seen a happier baby, more content, I would not know.
Is he not precious?
I freaking love cows. They're just the best. So I'm not a crazy chicken lady, but I feel like in my soul, I have two, but I could have many.
Like, look at these giant gentle breasts. They're actually sweet enough. Freya, especially, like, I could sit down and just lean against her and she just chill with me. And
They're just such lovers.
Hope might right now because she still doesn't feel 100%. Like, on a normal day, like, she's
Going to see other people's setups of how, you know, they run their properties. Every property is different. So I think it's one of those times where it's really tempting to ask someone like, oh, what's your formula? Like, what is the magic sauce, the secret thing that makes your homestead work? And then assume that it applies to everyone. So when I'm at Jessa's and I see 20 cows behind me, and then I think about my one, it's not just that they have more land, it's that every homestead is looking to honor the land and looking to work it in a way that that creates longevity, where, you know, when you go to a friend's house and your mom's like, leave it better than it was when you got there. That's our goal. Like, I don't know a single person who does this life for the clout or does this life for the Instagram, but they do this life because the long-term effects are more than the product. It's more than the milk. It's more than the eggs. It's the lessons learned and it's the character produced. So on this farm, character is produced step by step, just like any other, and that's the only formula you can rely on. But the grand scheme is that we're doing things that honor the land and honor the animal, and we get the benefit, the fruit of learning the lesson along the way. But as a person, we are hardwired to love learning, and I haven't found any better lesson than the homestead.
typically around like October. We'll have spring.
Show me your wares.
I've got the goat,
All
you've
of
got
us.
the cow.
I have the cow,
So
you have the goat.
You have the coffee creamer and the beverage, and I have the cheese.
I hadn't tried goat's milk. I guess I've tasted it in the past, but I hadn't had it like today.
Yeah, store-bought goat's milk and very, very fresh, like raw home goat's milk is very different because it has a lot of sugars in it when it's very fresh, but it very quickly, the bacteria in it eats through that, or if you pasteurize it, they're gone, and it becomes very like tangy, but
Like
when it's fresh,
denatured.
it's very sweet.
So we are loaded up on all this farm goodness, and then just said,
We're gonna stop in a restaurant on the way and eat something fast food. Like,
something Rebecca Rhodes would never eat.
That's our joke. Like, whenever we go eat at a restaurant, we're like, Rebecca Rhodes would never.
She would never. She would never. And then we go hug her. Do you want these in or do you still want to hug these off? Never have I ever seen a screen so large. If we get lost on the way, I have no one to blame but ourselves. Here's a quick photo of our road snacks that Rebecca Rhodes would actually eat, except we didn't get a picture of the freeze-dried candy that we both purchased at the farmer's market the night before. People who are prepping out of fear are making the decisions for things like a food storage.
Yeah.
You don't want to eat meat that's afraid before it dies. You don't want to eat the food that a food prepper who is afraid has prepped.
I've not really thought about that, but that's so True.
Because not just like,
Fear tastes bad.
Fear tastes bad. And I am a 72-hour box from Costco is going to taste like fear.
Right. See, here's the thing for me. I am very much a foodie. Like, I love cooking. I love pushing myself in cooking. I love fine dining. Like, this is a passion and a hobby for me. I want to eat the best food that there is. And so I always say that, like, that also I should have to clarify. That doesn't translate that I want to eat the most expensive food that there is.
The
like,
best.
when people are, like, eating things just tiny portions for the sake of eating something super expensive, that is not it for me. But, like, give me a very well roasted chicken in rutabagas I just pulled out of the soil. And for me, I always say I want to aim at thriving, and you will be able to survive if you're aiming at that. Like right now, I promise you, bring some societal collapse, economic collapse, I'm your girl. Like,
don't come to my house.
right, but I'm trying to teach you.
If you want to be that peaceful, that sound, that prepared.
We joke about, but when you hear people talking about like social credit scores and all this different stuff, we talk about societal collapse credit scores, and I've got like an 800.
We're high. We're hitting high on that list.
I can forage, I can grow, I can butcher things.
You know,
preserve.
it is the same kind of thing though. Even when we lived in the city, we did this like copy canning where we would look at what we had and what are we eating. Let's have more of that. So if I make black beans all the time, let's store some dry black beans, or let's buy cans of black beans. I don't want, there was one time where Bo bought a huge box. Never have I ever in our life, not because I'm snobby, just because I don't like it, purchased a box of Pop-Tarts from Costco.
Right.
Bo got them, and then on a whim he was like, oh, let's just try them, and my child called them jelly cracker cookie cakes. Ew, what is this jelly cracker cookie cake? However, Pop-Tarts are gonna have a really long shelf life.
Sure.
And yet I think there's this again, that like formula prescriptive, oh well, if I have this many calories stored up, yes, but the stress, I think, like the reality of this type of intensity following an economic collapse, not to be a prepper, but is gonna be hitting all of your weakest points. So if you don't know how to cook, you're gonna be severely hit when all you have to eat is this food that doesn't satisfy your taste,
right,
or your energy level. It's just calories.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, so many of the prepper food is just empty calories.
It is just
so
calories.
many carbs and so many things, and it's never seasoned. And so the thing is, you can make survival food that tastes good. Like you can make affordable, sustaining food that tastes good. You just, you know, I mean, you just have to learn.
You have to get in the kitchen.
You have to get in the kitchen.
That's one thing.
That's why I started that other YouTube channel, was because I'm like, this is how we have power. Is we know how to make something out of nothing. And I have the great benefit of having been poor in my life. And so like I know how to make something out of nothing. I know how to cook a pot of beans and make it taste good.
I think a lot of people are thinking, oh, how did you save money living in a shed to house, right? Did you save money you know, getting the tractor and now you do all the projects on your own?
Right.
The concern is, did you save money? But I think there's also something less talked about, which is, does this create more independence? So having the dairy cow creates more independence. If the world goes to pot tomorrow, we don't have to worry about, can I feed my family?
Sure.
We have the dairy cow. The chickens. I don't love chickens.
Resilience.
Yes.
It's the layering resilience.
And it's not overnight.
No.
And that's, I think, a very hard part. Because it's not overnight.
Well,
in a
MREs
world,
are.
Yeah, they are.
So that's
Good
why
point.
people want to do that, is because they feel afraid and they're like, I need to do something right now. And I mean, I'm all for buying some buckets of dry beans and rice and knowing what to do with them, and like having backup calories and all that stuff. Like I think that there's a place that if you feel concerned, having some resilience in that way can be very encouraging. But like you also have to think, do I actually want to live on this?
Is that your end game?
That's why I'm not taking all of my eggs and water glassing all of them, because that's what you're saying. Like cracking open water glass eggs, they gross me out. Like I don't want to eat that. So I've found other ways to save those, use those, and preserve those that I actually want to eat. Because what if there's never a need, emergency-wise, to live off stuff like that? What if you lived your whole life off of flavorless canned meat and water glassed eggs, and you didn't have to? Like, what if that that
and you
is
didn't
also,
have to.
And you didn't have to. Now, if you have them and you need them, okay, that's great. So I'm not condemning those things, but I don't want to live off of them.
I also think it's not the root, because the root is, how do we maintain life? We're not saying how do you keep going to your job and how do you keep creating money. How do you maintain? And if you're if your order is, I need to survive, you're never going to thrive. If you need to thrive, you'll find ways to survive so that you can hit that.
You're putting up food, you're having the same skills, but your goal is different, so that if there's never an issue, you thrived. Promise, if there's an issue, if you've been the foodie that's been growing food to have the best, like, you'll have the skills, the tools, that you'll have established what you need.
So much asparagus.
Yeah.
They're huge.
And then I use some butter. Did you make it? I did.
Oh my gosh, Jess.
And then these are goat milk, so we can make cheese for our meat salad.
Oh.
And then these are cow milk. I just wanted to
Wow, I'm gonna have you guys over more often. I had 0 credit. I just held the bag.
really ideas. I think it may be cosmetic, but I think these are usually orange, and I'm like,
We have finally made it to our second leg of the trip, and we are headed to see our other friends for dinner tonight. So thank you, Brianna, for hosting us. This is just the beginning of a lot of silliness and a lot of talking, and hopefully we don't stay up too late.
sleeping.
And it's artichoke. Artichoke
Maybe
taco.
we brought the 5-pound bag. That's why we need this.
It's just as big as a small child. We'll be totally fine and not
Yeah,
wired
those
all
are my
weekend.
twins made this, like, together. When they were born. This is what they both made. Like, together.
When this group gets together, it often looks like this. We hole up in Justin and Rebecca's cabin, and over our time together, we celebrate new life that comes with a baby shower, and we connect for hours and hours of talking and gallons of tea. And whether it's rain, sleet, or sunshine, we end up speaking into one another, and we leave feeling encouraged. It's been 2 years since we got together to fill my tank just before Georgia was born. But like the other trips, we were getting together to celebrate a baby. So in true Lorraine fashion, she brought us a feast and beauty. Every detail was dedicated and home-touched. Meg could not be more beautiful. The very first time we got together in the chaos of 2020 was to celebrate a baby buggy on the way. So getting to walk and talk just weeks before this holler kid comes was nothing short of wonderful. I mean, I do feel that we made a whirlwind tour, but the bite-sized moments were enough to fill my heart to overflowing. I didn't record our late-night chats or the coffee after coffee refills as we crammed in 2 years of connecting into just 2 days. But before Jess and I headed back to her farm, Brianna, Jess, and I all walked her neighborhood, soaking in the last few moments and all that glorious North Carolina nature had to offer.
No, it's a viburnum. That's also a viburnum.
This is hilarious.
What is?
It's hilarious that we're on the way to take a quick walk, and instead we're gonna stop
And look at every plant in the neighborhood.
and look at them and identify them. One thing about us is that we're gonna marvel at every bud and bug as we walk along. Back to the farm we went. Something super smart that I did was book time on the back end of the shower just to enjoy.
This ain't where I belong. Hey, look at me, man, what I become.
So what did two homesteaders do with a full day to themselves? Jess asked if I wanted to go plant shopping with her, and by plant shopping she meant, do I want to go watch her buy plants excessively? And I thought, what else would we do today? What else? And that we will endure no stupid questions like, do you need that?
If someone asked me why that was plants shopping, I'd be like,
I was like, why do you want to hurt me? Don't ask stupid questions. Plants and cows. If I had my family and I had plants and I had cows, I feel like I'd be living a good life. Do you know how hard it is to have a thriving garden at home that still needs more plants? And to be in a plant store
not buy anything.
Not everyone feels like this, but I think the best visits with people are just being together like it was a normal day, no special agenda. There's just a sweetness in enjoying each other's company without anything monumental. It's like the special thing is just togetherness. So we did chores and we had coffee at Beulah. We recorded a podcast before heading to the airport.
I'm so grateful for friendships and people who will meet me in a place where I have no desire to compare. I just have a desire to connect. It's been a really good weekend of almost 5 days of connecting. And somehow that made me feel like more rooted in the things that we're doing at home, in the things that feel like right for Texas. They feel right for Texas. And I'm really, really hoping that some of you guys who are coming here from Jess's channel or Rebecca or Brianna's or even the Haulers, that you feel a little more connected. And there might be some of you who are Texans, and I would love, love, love to hear from you, because I know that we can feel a little far removed, a little isolated. And it's even sometimes hard to see how a place like this, it's April, so green, so green. A place like this could have things that apply to us in our droughtful summer months that feel so brown and so crunchy. And what does that look like? So I'm still thinking on that, but this has been one of those times where it's like, I didn't just come to consume, we just came to connect, and my heart is full. I'm as excited to go home as I was to come here, and that's a really good feeling.
Being completely honest, I am tempted to think the grass is greener when I'm away from my own place. And I'll tell you, the grass in South Carolina is really green. But we have sown so richly in our own garden that I didn't want to forget how green it was there. So Ollie sent me texts of our own garden, and I got an ache to be back and barefoot on Texas soil and my arms full of Brotherton kids.
Welcome back to Texas!
My people know I love surprises, so I came home to shouts and streamers and handmade signs. We headed to the garden and took off our shoes and caught up over radishes and flower picking. How sweet is life that we can encourage one another, build each other up, and even when we're away, somehow feel more rooted when we come home. If you're new here and you love this vlog and you'd like to stay connected, I want to hear from you in the comments. So let me know who you are and how you heard about us, and can't wait to share more with you about our home and our homestead coming up soon.
I'm gone for 1 week, and we're like scrambling to keep up.
Oh!
That's a good one. These are little
job,
ones. Well,
honey.
this was Finley planting, so.
That's a fantastic radish.
No, they're radishes. They were about